Hello, everyone. Oh, it did actually work. I was trying to add that, and it didn't actually work. Okay, what is going on? I'm just going to get rid of that. Trying to figure out some Firefox stuff. All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday, as it normally is when we stream. Occasionally, it's not Friday, but most of the time it is. I think I have, knock on wood, everything worked. Audio is working. Camera is working. Doggo camera is working. I changed the chat on the sidebar to just be the YouTube one, so it's not as fancy looking, but it will cause me, hopefully, knock on wood, 0 issues. How are you, Papita? What are you doing? Are you just laying over there? Looking so pretty. She's ready for fall. She's ready for fall weather, let me tell you. Let me tell you, people. New layout, yeah. I actually, so you guys probably won't see it until next Friday when we stream, but I am going to be adding something new and exciting to these YouTube live streams. And I was hoping to put everything together and have it all ready at the same time. And like, I've been in the process of having a new like stream layout made, which is why I've been reluctant to change stuff, because I like doing everything all at once. Like, I'm the kind of person where if I'm gonna deep clean, I'm not doing like, ooh, we're just gonna do only the kitchen cabinets today. Like, I want to do everything. And I was really hoping that I would be able to get everything all done at once. But unfortunately, the person who's been working on the new layouts for my stream has been sick. And so they haven't been able to work on stuff for a while. And so it's going to be delayed, but I really want to launch stuff already. And I've been sitting on it for so long. I'm just like, just going to get it out there. I'm going to put in what I have. And then hopefully at some point in the next like month or two, we'll have new shiny stream things. And it'll be enjoyable and excitable. Uh-oh, we got Scenester Lexi back. Oh my goodness. I don't know if the world's... Okay, wait. I got an email today from... What's that company? Supps? I think it's Supps. And they have a Gloomy Bear flavor now. I think it's cranberry flavor? At Supps, it's like a energy drink / like hydration beverage. It's... there's another one. It's like G Fuel, kind of, but like less shitty. And I've bought it because I like to mix it with creatine, and that's like basically what's always in my water bottle. Not sponsored by Supps. That would be wild. Imagine if I got a Supps sponsorship and I could make my own custom flavor of Supps. I thought about what flavor I would make too. I feel like, you know, they put really sexy pictures on the packaging sometimes, so I feel like working with a kink educator would not be entirely outside of the realm of possibility, but... Gloomy Bear is back. It's so back. That was like my era of, I think that was a little bit of like a later development in the emo genre. Gloomy Bear was definitely, that's what everyone in middle school was really into. Just so many Gloomy Bear things. Absolutely everywhere. So emo is it's coming back. It's coming back in a big way. People are all about it. LOL relatable. Let's start cleaning one desk and end up taking the house apart. I mean... Supps. Oh, gamer subs. Oh, calling it gamer subs. Yeah. I don't know what I don't know. They always have like cheeky names. I'm not sure what I would call the actual product. I'd probably call it something like beautiful dogs surrounding me, and I'd have the packaging be like a bunch of dogs. And then like it would be something like cutesy like that. That's probably what I would go in. Been looking at some gamer subs myself. Any flavor recommendations? I've only tried a couple so far, and then I've had sample packs of a couple. So far, my favorite is the honeydew flavor. It's not one of the branded ones. I think it used to be Miskiff's flavor, and then they stopped working with him, and he probably got canceled for something. I don't know. But the honeydew melon flavor is really good. Also, any of the ones that have like cream in the description, there's a blue raspberry one, there's what's the other one? There's like a orange and cream one, there's a peach and cream one that just came out. I really like those ones. I find some of the other flavors that involve like cherry or raspberry, like they can be really sour, and I'm not a big like sour water drinker, so I don't really like those too much, but the ones that have like the cream flavor in them, they're just a little less of a you know, a big kick. But definitely the one I'm planning on trying next is, they just came out with a coconut and mango one, and I also want to get the pear one. Those are the two I'm going to be trying next, but they're pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't recommend buying them unless you get a discount code for them. And I also, like, I get them because I don't like drinking plain creatine, and so I mix them with that. But if you're just like, I don't know, if you need help drinking water, they could be good. Like, there's reasons to use them, but they are spendy, so I wouldn't necessarily go out on a limb and get one unless you think it really, like, to me it really helps me drink more water, so it's useful, but I would not, like, you know, spend a lot on it. Sublime, oh my god, that actually would be really good. Just like a lime. I would do a cream and lime. I would do like a key lime pie flavor if I was gonna call it Sublime. Would people drink that? I don't know. I think it'd be cool. I generally just misheard, but I'm glad people who are in the know think it's a fun pun. Yeah. Well, it worked. Yeah, it's gamer Supps, like Sup GG, like, you know, like gamer words, but not the gamer word, you know, one of the normal gamer words. Are you on a fitness arc? I've been on a fitness arc. I've been in the gym. I was lifting for like 2 years before the pandemic hit. I've been back in the gym for like a year and change. I like don't keep track of my PRs though. I don't know how to I don't know, what can I say that's impressive? Oh, I can do 5 chin-ups and 3 pull-ups. Does that like give people a reference? Like actual ones? Does that does that help? Does it give you a reference? I do like weird lifts. I don't do back squats. I do like landmine squats. I don't do normal things that like people, oh, this is my PR. What's the other thing I do? I do RDLs. I guess that's the common one that people do. What's my working set weight for Romanian deadlifts right now? It's over. It's like, I think it's 10. I think my working weight is like 105, but I don't really push myself on RDLs. I could definitely do way more for a 1 rep max, but I do a good old 3x10. That is basically what I do for everything. I love fitness. I love going to the gym. I go like midnight. It's great. I can go at midnight. No one's there. It's perfect. I didn't go for 2020 and most of 2021. I just now exceeded my lifts in 2024. Good for you, Otter. That's like a big deal. Like I said, I don't really track stuff. I'm planning to lock in. Like, basically, when I go through this kind of rush I'm in right now for work stuff, by like October, I'm gonna like lock in, because I haven't been like tracking my macros, and I need to do that again. It's time for the macros to start taking priority again. I stopped hitting the gym when the pandemic kicked off as well, and haven't been able to get back in the habit. I mean, it's definitely easier for me because I work from home, so like I can go to the gym at midnight and like be done and in bed by like 1:30, and it's fine because I don't have to be up to like go to work at 6 a.m. because like I can just shift my whole day like an hour or two the other direction if I want to. But like, it is really good for your mental health. Like, I definitely encourage it for that reason, and also because I think a lot of people have a very negative relationship with exercise because we were like forced to do it as kids, often in ways that we did not find enjoyable. We had to play sports we didn't like, or we had to run. Like, I think most people's relationship to fitness is like being forced to run a mile. Like, at least in America, I don't know what kids in other countries do, but for us, it's like you got to run the mile, you have to play these sports you probably don't care about, and like that's what you do. But you can actually find things that are like really enjoyable and really fun to do. Like, I think weightlifting is really fun. I think dance is really fun. And if you can find something that like helps you feel good when you move your body, it's really good for overall health and well-being. My main form of workout has been my wheelchair, which has done a lot for my shoulders, pecs, abs, and biceps a lot. But I want to start lifting my tris and maybe put a lot more work on the core. I mean, hey, that sounds like a good routine to me. I wonder if anyone has like a wheelchair workout. I'm sure, like, because I mean the Paralympics just happened, right? So I'm sure like the people that are doing different Olympic sports from their wheelchair, they probably have like a really involved routine for what they do for that. I also stopped going to the gym, but that was because I simply lost motivation. I really need to start again, but asthma and migraines make it difficult. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Especially with migraines, like you have the ones that just like take you out for like a couple days. Yeah. I think it's just like, I don't know. I think what's helped me is just like not, I don't know. I guess for me, I'm like, when I'm somebody who starts doing something, I like do it. Like I decide like when I went vegetarian, I just like woke up one day and then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like not eat meat anymore. And then I just stopped. And I didn't like baby step into it. And then with veganism, I did the same thing. I was just like, I think this is the last time I'm going to have cheese. And then I just stopped eating animal products altogether. And then when I started to start going to the gym, I just like started going 6 days a week. And I just kept doing it until like I couldn't anymore. Getting back into it post-pandemic was hard because I had trouble finding a gym that I liked as much as the old one I went to when I lived in Seattle, because I went to a really nice like family-owned one that wasn't like, it wasn't one of the big what are the like the scammy, like the 24-hour fitness, like the ones that like lock you into a contract or like really predatory. I went to a really nice family gym, and then down here in Portland there's just not, as at least, you know, that are in a reasonable driving distance and have the things that I want in a gym. It's harder to find something, but it's about just find something you like and like doing it when you feel like it. But I'm like a schedule committer. I'm like, I will do this absolutely now. It's on my schedule and I am having it be a habit. But like just going and like just doing a couple things or just being on a treadmill or just doing whatever, I think it can help you get in the habit and the mindset of going, and then it gets easier from there. But like, I'm not a fitness influencer, so don't ask me for too much advice about that. But that's, yeah, not too much into the gym, but I'm happy to say that I finally went to my first in-person munch. It was wonderful. Congrats, KB. I'm so glad that worked out. Unfortunately, I was that kid forced to run a mile every week without realizing I had asthma. Oh my gosh. I didn't even realize, yeah, I had asthma the whole time. Well, I'm glad that ended up being okay, I hope, because yikes. Not realizing you had asthma. That can be dangerous. That's not anything to joke about. Unexpected wheelchair benefit was my grip strength. I can like crush, rip, steal food cans and stuff now. That is how you attract the ladies. That's what I found out on social media. If you're a woman who's attracted to women, I don't know if that's true for you at all. But if you just grasp things firmly, the women are like, ooh, they want to know. They want to know what's up. I can't open pickle jars with my estrogenized muscles. Oh yeah. That's I wonder if that's like a common like barometer to find out if like, oh, is it working? Well, can you still open a pickle jar easily or not? I've always liked indie gyms. I feel like they're just better. They're just more chill. Like a lot of the chain gyms, I find I have a lot of teenagers at them. And I gotta be honest, I really don't want to work out next to like a gaggle of 15-year-old boys that are all like dicking around on the like in the bench press area, because they always are doing dumb shit, and I'm like, you're gonna hurt yourself. Like I'm constantly, if I'm around anyone who's in the gym under the age of like 22, I'm fully expecting them to like do something, because they always are. They're like standing on top of the machines. They're like crowding around each other in a way that's like kind of dangerous. They're like doing a press, but then they're like only loading one side of the barbell. It's like, but not on a machine like where it equalizes it out on each side, but like on a free weight. It's just gives me anxiety. I don't want to see a teenage kid like fuck up their whole life by like dropping a weight on their foot. What do you look for in a femme person / woman? I don't even know. I feel like it's weird if I just say somebody who's like me. But like, I mean, I don't know. I like a range of people, especially for like more the femme side of things. I do like mask people as well, but for femme people, I like people with a similar aesthetic to me. 28-year-olds can bounce back way easier when they screw up at the gym. That's true, but then it's hard to bounce back from like getting a barbell dropped on your neck. So all depends on the degree of injury. It was kind of overwhelming going to a lesbian bar for the first time. I've never been surrounded by so many beautiful people who might conceivably be attracted to me. Oh, that's a good point. There is a really good lesbian bar here in Portland. I haven't been to it yet because one, I don't like drinking, and two, I'm scared. So I haven't been, but I have heard good things. It has to be weird going into an environment where you're like, wait, these are my people. And, like, you know that. I think maybe it's less true in, like gay men's bars, because, like, people go in there for, like, bachelorette parties. People get weird predatory about gay bars, but I think lesbian bars tend to, like, I mean, do straight men go to lesbian bars? I mean, they go to anywhere women are, I guess, so I don't think knowing it's a lesbian bar would stop them, but I don't think it's too many. I don't know. Also, you probably what the problem is, I can't believe I didn't realize this as I was saying it earlier. I imagine the real problem for lesbian bars is the same thing as dating apps for women, which is you get a lot of men who come in with their bisexual girlfriend to, like, be supportive. And I believe there are people who do that and they mean well. But also a lot of people do that and they're a little predatory about it. Yeah, that's why I work out at home. I'm a little self-conscious about being around people in that setting. I mean, yeah, that's totally fair. I mean, also, home workouts are great. There's so many good resources for home workouts. I like the gym because, like, I have an apartment. I don't really have space to, have anything that's, super good. Like, for a while, I was doing, like, I did actually do home workouts for a really long time, and then I used, like, the smaller gym that's here. But then I, like, outgrew it and I decided to start doing, like, other stuff because, like, I just wanted to be able to do more. Like, if you have an apartment complex, they usually have some kind of, like, well, I don't know about usually, but a lot of them, at least here, they have, like, a smaller gym area, but it's, it can be kind of limiting, especially, like, when you get above, like, wanting to lift a certain amount of weight, there's not good options unless you just want to do everything on, like, a cable machine. I got tired of doing that. I usually have turquoise, blue, or purple hair rather than black, but I used to keep it in black in school because, the school uniform code banned unnaturally colored hair. Oh, I've heard that before. Actually, I don't know if this was, like, a specific school in Texas or a district, but I did hear recently that somewhere in Texas banned kids from wearing all black clothing. And I just couldn't believe it. Well, I can because it's Texas. But what did I think that's... Just, like, if you want to have kids dress a certain way, institute a school uniform. like just all that's going to happen now is there's going to be a bunch of kids wearing a lot of really dark navy blue. The emos are going to just find a new color to wear. This is not going to actually solve anything. Now they're going to wear all black, but with, like, purple socks. They're going to have on a black... like one of those checkerboard t-shirts. It's got, like, black and pink. Emo is now illegal. We must rise up. They're coming for everybody. It's the emos. It's the goth kids. The beatniks. There's probably still beatniks around somewhere. It's at least one. They're coming for all of us. I don't know if it was reported here, but there are less than 40 lesbian bars in the U.S. Yeah, there's not very many. They're a rare breed. My high school didn't let me wear spikes on a leather jacket, but didn't care about bracelets. Go figure. That is so funny. What do they think is going to happen? Like, spikes. I don't remember if that was in our school dress code. I know my school, like, I couldn't wear a top like this to, like, my school. Like, we had, your shirt had to be, my middle school was 3 finger, like, widths apart. Like, it had, like, it had to be like a thick tank top strap. But then my high school, it had to be at least it had to cover the shoulders. Like, you couldn't wear any tank tops, no spaghetti straps, no cap sleeves. And it's like, I think cap sleeves you can kind of get away with. It was either cap sleeve or full sleeve. But you had to be, depending on how big your shoulders were. So had to be careful about that. And then what else was in the uniform? That's like the main thing I remember. Obviously no midriff tops. No, nothing that showed your belly button. Because obviously all these rules were written, like, post 2004. So they responded directly to the fashion of the aughts. I actually wonder how much school dress regulations affect teenage fashion. Because, like, obviously in the 2000s, right, if, like, most schools didn't have explicit rules against, like, spaghetti straps and, like, midriff bearing shirts and things. Like you could wear that to school, and so it was easier to have it in your wardrobe because like you could wear it like to school and then out to the mall. Whereas when things ended up getting banned, then the fashion kind of has to adapt to like, well, we can't wear this anymore because otherwise they make us put on like our I think at my school we did the gym uniform. If you had inappropriate clothing on, you had to put on your gym uniform. And that was it. That was the best day ever. Senior year, I got to senior year, didn't have to take gym anymore. That was the best. Holy moly. Loved that. Do you know any non-vlogger age play or CGL YouTubers? I do know one actually. And I can never, it's like ABDL Wonderland or something. Let me look. I got you. Then we're going to go back to doing questions in order. I know I got distracted at the top. We've not gone over the basic details yet. All right, let's trying to see my subscriptions here. It shouldn't be that hard. Oh, perfect. There we go. They have kind of a weird name. They're definitely more ABDL oriented. I'll just show you. They have like they definitely have like more vloggy type stuff, and like this is our personal journey, but they're called Diaper Perv. They have almost 10k subscribers, and they have like so many videos about ABDL. Like I can't get focus on the text, please. There we go. Let's see. They got solo diaper play ideas. We got lots of stuff about like dispelling myths about adult babies. They got lots of stuff about like different types of diapers. Like it's way more like diaper focused content, I would say. So I don't know if that's exactly what you're looking for, but that's the closest one I know of who like regularly makes content. There's not. I always look. There's not very many. I'm always watching out. My middle school principal will wear mini skirts? That's crazy. I mean, I believe you, but why? that's what I want to know. Why? Where did my dog go? Papita, where'd you go? Oh, she's in the forbidden land. Papita. Let me move the camera. You're gonna be. Oh no, now you're moving again. I just moved the camera. I just moved it. Now where are you going? Now you're right in front of the camera. Hi. What are you, look at you. Hi. I don't know if, can you guys see this? I don't know. She's like, pet me. What if you went over here? Where people can see you more and not get blown out by the light from the window? What if you came over this way? Yeah, there we go. There we go, yeah. Then you don't have to worry about being blocked out by the sun. Your natural radiance can. Ha ha ha. I have fooled the dog into moving. So that we can, because she's over there, like you can't really see anything because like the camera is not very good with regulating light, so it just gets totally blown out if she's in front of the window at all. And then she just looks like she's like ascending to heaven. And now she's perfectly on camera. Okay, let's get back to some earlier questions. Let's do that. I was actually able to learn how to play ping pong for a full marking period in my senior year of high school, so that was pretty cool if I had to say so myself. Yeah, we did not have any like free periods. Like I think there were a couple of seniors who had like half days, but that was like really rare, and it was mostly kids that were like not planning to go to college that just like didn't took like the minimum number of classes to be able to graduate. Not a routine thing. I went to like kind of an elitist East Coast high school, so that's the culture. I think it's common in a lot of places, but they had a lot of graduation requirements. Cocktail and shower equal food. Shower and cocktail, not so good. Apparently. Oh no, I'm sorry, I jump scared you. Okay, I'll do the standard spiel. Bandit, I love you. Somebody loves you, Bandita. Wow. Oh, she wagged her tail. She said hello. She liked that. Oh, she's staring at me like, what are you doing? Okay, so the usual spiel. This is 18 plus only. So if you are not at least 18, please do not be here. That is for your safety, my safety, everyone else's safety. Also, please read the rules down below. We have a really great setup of FAQs if you want to check those out, because people come in and they want to know about things like, where can I buy a flogger? What books do you recommend? Probably down below, right there. And just be respectful. Don't spam the chat. I answer questions in the order they come in, generally. Occasionally we get into a topic and I will look for related questions and follow-ups from the person who asked the question, and we'll kind of go off on a tangent. Or sometimes I'll just rant, and that'll also happen. But the best thing you can do is ask your question early, because I'll be most likely to see it. And then as we get towards the end of the stream, usually we stream for about 2 hours, so we have another hour and a half to go. About 20 minutes before the end, maybe 15, I'll give people a warning, and you can re-ask your question in case I did not get to it. I also want to mention as well with the title today, just had some things that I've been thinking about lately, and we can talk about those, or it can be whatever y'all want to talk about. I also thought we could discuss maybe a little bit of what I went over in the video that got published. That was about people posting photos of bruises on Twitter, and then the general public finding it and being very concerned in a way that I perceived as mostly being faux concern, forcing a label of abuse onto a scenario that the person didn't think was abuse and never indicated was abusive. And I got a number of people that left comments along the lines of I don't really see what you're saying. I think these people were all being genuine. We should err on the side of caution and be as conservative as possible when we see images like this, because even if somebody is not saying that they're abused, or even when they say that they like it, they could still be being abused, and maybe they have Stockholm syndrome, or they're trauma bonding, or they're too deep into it to recognize what's going wrong. And so, it's good for people to be concerned. And I find that to be really interesting, because that's very different from how I think about it. And I'm not sure what is clinically correct. I'm not sure what a DV professional would say, but my inclination with most stuff on the internet is unless you already are familiar with that person and you are offering them help behind the scenes, leaving a comment along the lines of OMG, that's abuse, or OMG, are you okay? That looks crazy. Even though it's literally, you have to, in order to leave that comment, you have to ignore the other comments that the person already left that says this was so much fun, my friends love me, in order to be OMG, that's abuse. And especially because there's a big uptick on Twitter in particular of people being very judgmental about, everything, basically. I just don't think that's really helpful. Also, especially, if a person's in a domestic violence scenario, their abuser probably monitors all of their social media, and especially if they're posting pictures of it. One, that's super high risk if you're trying to somehow document evidence of IPV in public. Having 50 different strangers come out to be OMG, you're being abused, probably isn't helpful, and will probably piss off the person who's committing the IPV. But that's my own professional opinion about it, and doesn't really actually, because if the person is anywhere past if they have even started to understand that what they're experiencing is not consensual, and they don't want to be going through it, having a bunch of strangers being OMG, sub safely, stop allowing yourself to be abused, it doesn't actually help you anything. Because what the person needs for help isn't a bunch of people pointing out the scenario. They need resources to know how to leave. They need to save up money to be able to leave. They need to find a way to be safe in case that person turns out to be a stalker or something. There's way many more things to think about other than just have you considered that getting this bruise on your thigh means that actually your partner is terrible? But I don't know. Maybe people are over that. Maybe people don't want to talk about that. The knee-jerk reaction of thinking it's abusive is legitimate. I think to the vanilla public who are not used to seeing photos of bruises, I understand if the only thing you're seeing is just the photos and not any of their context surrounding it or what the person is saying about it. You're gonna be oh my gosh, are they hurt? Because why else do people post photos like that if you don't know anything about the kink community or anything? But if you know that person's account and you know what this person said around what was happening and their own commentary on it, which again is immediately below the photos. It's like it's not like they like tweeted totally separate from it and like it was completely like, you know, you could miss it easily. Like if you were seeing the thread, you saw that they were posting that this was something that they enjoyed, that their friends did to them, and that was like the context around it. So yes, an initial like first impression, 2-second like looking at something, yeah, people are probably going to assume that it's not something consensual because that's outside of their realm of understanding. But also, that does not then give you permission to speak over someone about their own experience and, like, insist for them on their behalf that they're experiencing something that they say repeatedly to multiple people they're not experiencing. And then that's problematic. Hashtag problematic to me. Don't you think it's a slippery slope? If there's an actual case of abuse, we should just assume it's kink? Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying, okay, that's why I spent so much time in the video, like probably like 5 minutes talking about like, here's how you can start to maybe understand what IPV injuries look like compared to consensual kinks, both in the way that people talk about it, how it's presented, what it looks like on the body, where it is on the body. Like, there's a big difference between, like, what the person was showing, which was symmetric, even, large bruises on very cushy parts of the body, versus, you know, other, like bone injuries, fractures, broken noses, broken lips, like petechia around the eyes, ligature marks around the neck, things on bony parts of the body, defensive wounds on the hands. Like, this is why I spent a lot of time talking about how these things look differently, because if you understand how they look differently, it's very unusual for IPV injuries, like maybe outside of like a Christian domestic discipline, like spanking type thing, to involve like, and this is something I've learned like from professionals who teach this to medical personnel who sometimes have to evaluate whether or not somebody that's under their care could be experiencing DV enough to like redirect them to resources. Like, this is something I have learned from professionals. This is not something that I am pulling out of my ass. Like, symmetrical, even bruises are very different than the typical kind of marks that you would see with IPV, especially with like the types of toys that are used, the types of marks those toys use, and also, like, again, the way the person talks about it. If somebody is, like, boldly, openly showing it in a prideful way on social media and is being like, oh my gosh, look at these amazing marks that I got from my friends, they're so awesome, that's very different than, like, I can't imagine, like, unless, I mean, is it impossible for a scenario to happen where, like, somebody is demonstrating, like, pictures of IPV while, like, framing it as being a consensual kink thing? Sure, that could happen. Maybe if they're trying to, like, document it, but then, like, not let their abuser know that that's what they're trying to do. Like, yeah, there could be some chess moves like that. For the most part, people that are experiencing, like, IPV, they're probably not going to, like, openly post about it in public on a social media website that their abuser probably monitors. And especially not in a way where it's like, yay, this is so exciting and I love it and it's fantastic. Does that happen occasionally? Sure. But like, that's not the usual way that these things tend to go. So I'm not saying that we should default assume that everything is a kink. But if the person's account is a person who has talked repeatedly about engaging in consensual kinks, and I don't remember if this is 100% true or not, but I think they also made some kind of like sexual content. I don't remember if it was OnlyFans or something else. And they talk about that specific instance being something they enjoyed. That's a pretty safe scenario based on all of the other evidence, both the literal things that are being shown and also the way they're talking about it and like the kinds of things they generally seem to be into. That's a case where we can pretty readily assume if they're saying, stop telling me I'm being abused, this is actually really fun for me, why the fuck are you infantilizing me? That's a pretty good case to like not assume that it's abuse. But like if you have concerns about a person, if you're in the kink community and you have a friend or you have somebody in your life that's like, you know, you think you're worried about that maybe they're like going past a healthy boundary, if you worry that the partner is pressuring them to do things they don't want to do or like play harder than they want to or things like that, it's very different to have like a stranger you've never seen before on the internet present something and then like you respond to it and be like, OMG, that's abuse, versus like somebody you know in real life or are close with online, and you're seeing a worrying pattern over time of like the way they talk about their relationship, the way they talk about the way they do scenes or their marks or their power relationship, or maybe they act a certain way in public or their body language or something, like a pattern, not just a single instance, but a pattern. And this is another thing I talk about too. IPV and DV are not just when somebody hits you. And this is a really big misconception I feel like a lot of people have. And I'm sorry for like, I know this might be like a sensitive topic for a lot of people, but I guess we're talking about it. But IPV and DV are not just single instances of like, somebody hit me once and like, that's it. And that's all it was. Like there is a context of a pervasive pattern of coercive control in a relationship. There's a whole wheel you can look up on Google that explains this. There's so many resources for this, but because of the way that DV and IPV are presented in media, we tend to think of that as being like when somebody like throws something across the room, or they suddenly like slap you out of nowhere, and then like, oh my gosh, suddenly DV is happening when before everything was totally perfect, and afterwards it's totally fine. Like it's not just whenever somebody hits you that's going to be an instance of DV or IPV. There's that, again, very pervasive, ongoing pattern of coercive control in a relationship, not just a single instance of something. Now, I'm not trying to say that to minimize single instances of something, because chances are in a relationship, it's if somebody suddenly is like throwing stuff at a wall, or they're like screaming at you all hours of the night, or they're like, you're having an argument and they suddenly like slam a fist against a wall, like that's probably not like suddenly out of nowhere. There's probably like, you maybe haven't looked at it because it's maybe been uncomfortable to look at. But there's probably been a pattern leading up to that of like other things emotionally and mentally going on in the relationship, if not physically necessarily. But people, it's still funny to me. People, and this is something I said in a couple of the replies, I consistently see the fact that when somebody has a photo of a soft tissue injury, like petechiae around the eyes, like a bruise, something like that, people go, oh my gosh, abuse. I need to save you. I need to make sure that you know that you're being abused. But then when it comes to any other form of abuse, when it comes to mental abuse, emotional abuse, gaslighting, people misuse the terminology, they doubt victims, they minimize the harm that's done, and they basically tell them that like, well, it's your fault for staying in the relationship, and then it can't really be that bad because they didn't hit you. And that's really fucked up. And so like, I wish that people would have the same energy for infantilizing people that are experiencing like consensual pain in relationships as they would for like actually supporting victims of like various kinds of DV and IPV, especially people that are like gender nonconforming, people that are male and masculine that are experiencing IPV or DV. Those people do not get like any kind of support whatsoever. And it's really, really upsetting. Love that. Let's fix this breach of autonomy with another breach of autonomy. That's so often the way for prescription paternalist types. I mean, that's like another thing I'd bring up too. And that's something I said, I don't know if I said in the video, but I said it in some responses to comments. And this is another thing, again, that I learned from a professional that works in this field, that used to be an advocate for victims of domestic violence, that something that consistently happens when people experience IPV or DV and they eventually get help is suddenly, even though before their support system was probably like ignoring it, minimizing it, not supporting them, telling them that their partner is just going through a hard time, whatever, like suddenly they now want to be really involved and being like, you need to do this and this and this, and then they take over for the person who's a victim and then tell them what they should be doing and like what to do next. And someone's not even asking for their consent. They just like put them on a path of like, all right, now we're going to do this and this and this, and kind of just dragging them along. And that's another instance of making it so someone is losing their autonomy. And somebody is taking like, oh, no, you're a victim, and so you're crazy and you're too mentally unwell to know what to do for yourself. So I'm going to tell you what you need. Like, even if that's well-intentioned, that still is re-traumatizing for the person who's already probably been through a lot of trauma, because again, another person in their life who is supposed to help them, who is supposed to support them, isn't actually doing that. They are telling them what they need. And that just isn't good for recovery. It isn't good for getting out of the trauma, like, wheel you get spun up on. It's just, like, that's probably one of my like pet peeves with talking about IPV and DV that we don't get to is like people love being white knights. People love being like proactively defensive on the internet to people that they see as like needing help and needing saving. That's why people leave dozens of comments saying like, OMG, you're being abused, is because they want to adopt the posture of being someone who cares about domestic violence because that's like socially important in the circles they're a part of, to be seen as the kind of person who cares about this and like speaks up when they say something, rather than like actually practically doing anything to help the person who's like experiencing abuse. Because it's basically impossible to do that over the internet with a stranger that you don't know, and that you probably can't even DM with because like you're not even like mutuals on Twitter. So yeah, that's more or less it. I believe that openly celebrating sexuality is bourgeois. That's amazing. I don't even know how to process that. That's fantastic. I don't like under a Marxist-Leninist organization of the economy, we will only have boring sex that's not hedonistic. We will have no Marxist-Leninism is when you don't have anything that's fun. No art, no physical pleasure, no massage. It's all too hedonistic. Can't be done. Like, where's the line? How many orgasms am I allowed to have before it becomes a bourgeois activity? That's what I want to know. Let's set some, like, I'm sorry. MLs are great. I don't have any, I'm a leftist. I don't identify as, I'm more on the anarchist side of the spectrum than an ML, but I do find it funny when, like, people make statements like that, because then it's like, oh, if it's hedonism is a bourgeois activity and therefore wrong and counter-revolutionary. I'd love to know, how many orgasms can you have during sex before it becomes bourgeois? Is it 2? Does it depend on if you have a penis or a vagina? Can I use a sex toy? Is that bourgeois? What if it's homemade? What if I use a cucumber I grew in my own garden as a dildo? Is that bourgeois? God. I'm kind of taking the piss, but it's just sort of, I haven't gotten the opportunity to talk about this before, so I have thoughts. Thank you for giving me a platform to talk about that. What makes you bourgeois is privately owning others' means of production, not celebrating being gay or trans or disabled. That is a fantastic point. That's true. I don't think, what about hedonism? Oh, are you, okay, I'm going to guess you're probably somebody who's like anti-sex work. There's a lot of MLs that are anti-sex work, so that wouldn't be surprising. Fellow comrade Evie. Indeed. I basically exclusively consume leftist content. I'm a theory reader. I do in fact read the theory. I read the things. And, you know, I make jokes about it sometimes. I will not be answering any further questions until you tell me how many orgasms I'm allowed to have before an activity becomes hedonistic and bourgeoisie. Otherwise, I will move on. No more than 100 per 24 hours? Okay, then I'm super safe then. You can't smoke cucumber without gum. All right, I'm gonna pin that. I'm gonna pin that to the Twixie always comes in with the sleeper comments. Oh my god. That just hit on the perfect spot. Oh my god. People are gonna see that later and be like, what the fuck? They're not gonna know where that's coming from. Oh god. That's so funny. If I enter into a voluntary hierarchy of ownership with a sub/pet, am I bourgeois? Yes, sorry. It is a joke question, but also it's kind of serious, because if you're saying that hedonism is inherently bourgeois, I would like to know where you think the line is between acceptable human sexuality and hedonism. And maybe a good easy barometer of that is number of orgasms. But if it's not that, please elucidate me, inform me. Where is the line between normal acceptable human sexual expression and hedonism that is counter-revolutionary? Please let me know. I will await your response, but not really. I'll casually look for it. How to distinguish between consensual kink that just leaves uncommon marks with actual abuse. I mean, that's a good question. So, obviously if somebody's doing something like rough body play or wrestling, you can get into territory where you're going to be getting marks that could look similar to DV or IPV or anything with like primal play, anything with like fighting back, switch fights, you can get into that territory. At that point, I would probably rely more on somebody's own accounting of what happened to them and like the way that they talk about it, the mood when they talk about it, when they talk about their partner, like how do they talk about them? What is their mood like? Do they suddenly have any changes in like body language, posture, tone of voice? Do they suddenly like avert their eyes? Like, I'm not trying to advocate for like full on like body language analysis, but like if somebody goes from being really bubbly and happy and then suddenly like you ask them a question about their partner in the scene they just did and they shrink back and they like curl up when they look away, like that's an indication that something could be going on there, and it's worth following that trail and seeing, where that goes. I think sex work is the line. I don't hate sex workers. I just feel sorry for them. Well, I'm glad that you don't hate them, but also, like, BDSM isn't sex work, so I guess all BDSM isn't hedonism then. I think we solved that one. I'm primary anorgasmic. Does that make me the leader of Marxism? Yes. Congrats. You are. What year? You are now communism with anorgasmic characteristics. That's your new title. All right. Thanks for the entertainment. That was delightful. So getting back into telling like the difference between marks and like unusual things. I mean, obviously, like, also accidents happen, right? Like, somebody could be doing a consensual BDSM scene, and then, like, oopsie, the rope broke, or I tripped when I was in handcuffs, or I had such a good time, and I had a blindfold on, and I was wiggling around too much, and I, like, bonked my elbow, like, into the side of the cross, or whatever. Like, there's tons of things that could happen that could cause, like, accidental things. And, again, going to be mostly relying on what people have to say for their own accounting on stuff. But for the most part, I would say, having observed at this point probably like thousands of BDSM scenes and like participated in many of them in my own day, though like I'm not a masochist, but I don't know, maybe I should just be okay calling myself a masochist. But I don't like necessarily primarily do impact play as like my main kink. That's not really the focus of what I do. But having seen a lot of it, the vast majority, like 90+% of impact play is going to be on the upper thighs, on the butt, and on the back. And then like another 5% is probably going to be on the front, like on the chest. You're probably not going to see it on the stomach. You're probably not going to see it on like the forearms, the wrists. You're probably not going to see it on like the shins. You might see it on the calf muscles. You might see some marks like gripping marks or rope marks on like the upper arms. You might occasionally see some marks like whipping marks on somebody's stomach if they're like really into like intense full frontal whipping. Obviously, if anyone who's like a really hardcore masochist who's like, doing all kinds of stuff. They're the other 10%. They're the other, like, what are they? That's not how the math worked out. Okay. Let's say 85% is like the back half of the body on those three areas, and then another 5%. Okay. That'll make the math work out. And that is basically, like where the bulk of most of the play, ends up being at. And then it's very uncommon if we're just talking about anything outside of bruises. We're talking about like broken fingers, broken toes, fractures, any sort of damage to joints, eyes, lips, nose, ears, etc., the extremities. That to me is going to be more indicative of something that could like go outside what is typical for consensual BDSM and is more likely to be the result of abuse. Also, marks around the neck. Obviously, with people that are happier with a higher level of risk, you get people that do things around the neck. Most of the time, it's going to be sometimes with rope, though usually not with very much pressure, as like an accent thing. Or you get people who do stuff with their hands, and that can leave like indentations and mark around the neck. If it's anything that involves a ligature, if it involves like a belt, a cord, etc., like pantyhose, and it's like really leaving super deep marks. Most people that are doing consensual kink don't do that because they're planning out their scenes and they think about things like, I don't want to have to go to the grocery store tomorrow and have to wear a scarf in the middle of May when it's 75 degrees outside because like I have this giant red marker on my neck that's going to take like 2 months to go away. Whereas in like IPV in the moment, there's oftentimes there's anger, there's not a care for that kind of thing. And so like they're going to act out their impulses to attempt to control their partner and exert authority over them, regardless of like, you know, they're not thinking in that moment necessarily as much about like, this is going to take 3 months to go away, or this is going to make it really awkward for them at the office tomorrow. Like they don't plan that way as much, just because of, you know, the nature of that. Like BDSM is planned. Abuse, typically, unless it's somebody who's like very maliciously plotting something out, for the most part, is going to be not plotted out. Do you think we should decommodify sex? In an ideal world, people would have sex for the pure enjoyment, not just to make money. No. I mean, you could say the same thing about art. You could say the same thing about like any kind of creative endeavor, whether it's making videos or writing books or pottery or like painting art. Like, sure, in an ideal world, none of us need money for anything. We can all just have all of our needs met by like pixie dust, but that's probably not going to happen. So to me, like that kind of theoretical is not very like entertaining to think about because it's probably not going to happen. I don't think there's anything wrong with sex work. I don't think it's any more exploitative than like any other industry that requires the use of your like the body for labor. Like, you know, I think being a roofer is probably a worse gig than being a sex worker, depending on the circumstances. Or, you know, being a butcher, working in a meat processing plant, or, you know, being a farmer in like Southern California. I think there's lots of things that for some reason we keep focusing on like white women who are escorts, and we don't seem to be spending a lot of time focusing on the immigrants who are like being exposed to toxic chemicals day in and day out, where they're like picking Driscoll's strawberries. And I feel like maybe we should think more about that. Yeah, nothing's a commodity in an ideal world because people just have what they need. Yeah, but like, yeah, exactly. But that's probably not going to happen. So unless we get Star Wars, or not Star Wars, Star Trek. The birds are not happy. I don't know why. Like a whole like a not even just a murder of crows, but like multiple murders of crows now hang out outside my apartment complex, and I think that they're having some kind of generational feud. Like the last like week or so, half the time I go outside, it's like the sharks and the jets are like having a face off outside. It's pretty nuts, and they just they're in the tree outside my window, I think, right now, having a little spat. A slaughter of crows. That's what they're gonna murder each other with words if they have anything to do about it. Zoom and enhance. Look at the dog. Look at her cleaning her little paws. Adorable. Okay. I'm not sure if I have you given them something shiny. You could become the crow queen. I feel like if I do that, I have to bring enough for everyone. I think I need to have enough marbles for every crow to have one. I don't want to cause them to be jealous of each other because like only one of them got the shiny. There's too many. I don't have enough shiny things to give away yet. IMO, the best arguments against sex work are actually just arguments against capitalism. Yeah, exactly, Randolph. In BDSM play, I always tell my subs that I may cause them pain, but never cause any damage. Damage beyond spank, paddle, etc. Marks is never acceptable. Yeah, I mean, obviously it depends on the individual person. Some people are like more okay with like leaving more permanent marks behind, but you know, in general, I think the sentiment that like, oh, we hurt but we don't harm is a pretty good, just general thing to say. It's so interesting to me how we get people coming in specifically to debate with you on sex work every stream. Do y'all plan on doing this to every educational streamer? Well, people do love arguing about sex work. I think honestly it's happening because I've said things about like rad femme stuff lately, and like rad femmes love a couple of topics. They love talking about trans women. They love talking about sex workers. And they love talking about BDSM. And especially if they can get in all three at once, it's like their favorite day. They love that. So that's probably why. I've definitely had a couple of people leave comments somewhat recently to the effect of like, why do you hate rad femmes? And it's like, I don't hate rad femmes. I'm just annoyed that like so many of them on the internet spend more time agreeing with conservative dudes that like want to make sure all women are chained to kitchens permanently. Than, you know, like actually finding solidarity with women, even if they maybe like don't agree on what their sex lives look like. Also, we did this before. We did this in the 80s. It's called the Lesbian Sex Wars. We already went through this. A lot of them are big Andrea Dworkin stans, so it's not like a huge shock to me that they've sort of read that one like perspective on things. But there's a reason why that didn't like end up winning originally. And I guess maybe there could be other reasons for it besides this, but it turns out the logical endpoint of a lot of these things, which is like don't have types of sex with anyone that replicate the patriarchy, whether it's trans people, men, or women. Because if you're doing it with a man, it's just directly patriarchal. If you're doing it with a woman, then you're trying to reenact the patriarchy onto another woman. If you're doing it with a trans person, I mean, I can't even repeat what they say about that, but you can trust that it's bad. Therefore, you can't actually really have consensual sex with anybody except for soft lovemaking with another woman that does not involve any kind of penetration. For the most part, that means people not getting to have any kind of sexual relationships at all, and that actually we should not be having any sex with anyone. It turns out most people are not going to do that because most people are not asexuals. So, yeah. They're Dworkin fans who were way more transphobic. Yeah, they just said, we could be more transphobic. We could elevate this. We could do more. We could do more. They're like, what part of our theory could we add on to more? The transphobia, I know. The majority of those Dworkin stands among the current crop have never read Dworkin because they would realize Dworkin didn't think trans women aren't women. Well, but then they'd have to read something and not just look at TikTok. Yeah, I mean, I'm saying Dworkin, but like I'm generally speaking of like that side of the sex wars. Obviously, they were writers, and especially more modern people that are much more anti-trans in their rhetoric. But yeah, it's disappointing to say the least because like we went through this before, and that's why I ask questions when people kind of indicate this sort of mentality of like, okay, well, like, where's the line of like what's acceptable? Because like when you start talking to them about it and they're like, oh, well, like BDSM between a man and a woman is wrong because they're replicating the patriarchy. Well, what about when it's two women? Well, actually, the woman is trying to take on the patriarchal role and act like a man when she's dominating another woman. So that's still wrong. Oh, well, what about when it's a woman, doing it to a man? Well, that's still wrong because then the woman is trying to treat the man like he's a woman, and that like, because there's no winning. You can't ever do anything right unless you're like delicately kissing your lady friend on the lips, but not in a mannish way. And then only then is it fine. I'm being hyperbolic, obviously. I'm not saying that I actually think that, but there's a reason why political lesbianism didn't like catch on as the final, way that we were going to solve feminism and feminist problems forever. And like, I do have respect for movements, like the feminist movement in Korea, like the places that have decided because of their conditions to take a much stronger stance against certain things. Because like their cultural context is very different than the US. And like that's totally like, I'm not going to tell people in other countries how to do their feminism or like do other things. I'm just speaking strictly from a US perspective, because I'm not trying to be an imperialist here with my feminist thinking. Like, give us trans sex worker inclusive radical feminism. Yeah. I mean, like, I think that there's a place for like radical feminism that is like more like sex work and trans and like kink affirming. but for some reason that doesn't exist. And I just find it easy that we get trapped in these like pockets of like, instead of, I don't know, focusing on the men that are the problem, let's talk about how women aren't doing enough in their personal lives with other women to like, prevent the patriarchy from spreading. Longtime fan of the channel, first time catching a stream. Thanks for the videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I don't know if it's Michelle. Maybe it's Michelle. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I guess it's Michelle. Thank you. I know. I love what I'm reading about how Korean feminists are doing feminism. Like, that's fucking praxis. That's a great way of saying it. Everyone is going to keep opening up that pinned message, and every single time they're going to get jump scared by talking about a cucumber. Okay, let's get to some questions. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Answer the question about CGL YouTubers. They selectively enforce the dress code on girls most of the time. A few female friends got dress coded because of their assets. One of the girls got away with the same shirts. Yeah, there was a time I got dress coded, and I had on just a regular like a round neck t-shirt. It wasn't a crew neck, or it was either like a round neck t-shirt, or it was maybe like a V-neck or something. I think it was a round neck t-shirt though. And I got dress coded because when I was walking to first period, I guess it went like too low for the monitors. Like it wasn't showing cleavage. It was like on me, like, so if like cleavage is like this level, right? It was like here. Like it was like you could see a clavicle. I think this adult legitimately mistaked seeing my clavicle and the top of my rib muscles, or like my rib cage, with with cleavage. And then I had to wear actually I didn't end up wearing the gym uniform because I borrowed my boyfriend's hoodie, and that was an acceptable replacement. So I spent the rest of the day in a hoodie that was like 5 sizes too big for me. And also I was late, which never happens. And so my friends were like, "What happened? Like, where'd you go?" And then I had to explain that I got, they couldn't believe it. They're like, "You got dress coded?" Because, like, do I seem like the kind of person that would be trying to flaunt the dress code rules in high school? I gotta say no. That was not really my thing. And that was the day that I learned you can't trust authority figures. No, I'm kidding. That's not when, but it's kind of a funny anecdote. Dress code's way of saying boys don't have to control their impulses, basically. I mean, the no shoulders thing was like real wild, especially because that school was it was on the East Coast. Like, it would get hot, like, especially towards the end of the year. Like, there were days when it would get really hot. Even at the beginning of the school year too, it would get hot. And like, I never really wanted to wear a tank top or a spaghetti strap, but like, sometimes you'd want to be able to wear like a spaghetti strap like under, especially because in that era it was like 2010, so like, we loved the layering. It was all about the layering. And so I was like, well, but I want to wear this, but I could put a hoodie over it. But then they'd be like, well, but if they catch me with the hoodie not being over the strap, I could still get in trouble because the strap was showing like temporarily. Oh, it was wild. All right, we've just, the limit for orgasms before it becomes hedonistic and the anti-communist is 3. Good to know. They specifically mentioned spaghetti straps and midriff in the late 90s. Okay, I assumed it was a later development because the pictures they used as examples all seemed very like 2002, but apparently they hated him back then. Wow. I did not go to Christian school. I went to regular public high school. Honestly, probably a good thing. I don't really think it would have affected me like too much long term, but I don't think I've ever heard of somebody going to a Catholic or a Christian school and being like, that was a fantastic experience and nothing weird happened to me at all. It's been about 5 years since I got a tattoo on my latest on Wednesday on my sternum. Ooh, that's a rough one. Took about 2 hours, and holy fuck, it felt like a magic wand to my heart. Wow. Actually, I hadn't thought about that, because yeah, it would definitely, I mean, it would vibrate your whole like chest cavity. Ooh, that sounds weird. Well, you survived, so that's good. Congratulations, you survived. You should get a sticker. Hopefully you got yourself a little treat afterwards. That's rough. No sternum tattoos for me. No, thank you. That's on the no list. That's on the no-go tattoo list. Like, is that an odd one, or is it or is nearly sexual pleasure from getting a tattoo directly over a bone more common than I thought? So here's a fun anecdote for you, St. Ridley. So there is someone, and I've mentioned this before, like I think offhand maybe once or twice, but when I was in college, when 50 Shades of Grey, the movies were still being released, I had a roommate that I lived with, obviously because they were my roommate, and she was really into sporking. She really liked to read the sporking, I don't know what, the blogs on LiveJournal. And there was somebody who obviously was doing a sporking of 50 Shades of Grey, and we would read it, and it was very funny. I don't know if it would hold up if I read it again now. It'd probably be a little bit too mean-spirited and probably kind of like misogynist in some places. But, you know, these things happen with age. And one of the people that was doing the sporking, basically to prove how masochistic they were to the reading audience, to be like, I have authority to like talk about sadomasochism and BDSM, talked about how they had, I don't know if they said it was a fetish or just a kink. It was, or could be either one. I'm going to say a fetish. Talked about how they had a fetish for non-numbed dental procedures. Like, they really liked painful dental care, and that was like one of their kinks. And they said that they always they left like a note that was like, and like, thank you so much to the dentist who once removed one of my teeth without proper Novocaine. That memory is always near and dear to my heart. Like, that's like, you know, so there are people that are into, they're into unusual types of pain. Certainly, pain over the bone is not a particularly common thing that people get a lot of pleasure out of, because typically people are getting pleasure out of the intensity going over the soft tissue. But you know, the human body and our brains are weird. And like, sometimes we just like things that are weird. I definitely know people that maybe are into getting tattoos, maybe not necessarily over the bone in particular, but if you like really a high level of intensity or the vibration feeling from it being over the bone, you know, anything's possible. Sporking is a term from LiveJournal where essentially you would, how do I describe it? Do you know how, like, CinemaSins, remember the YouTube channel CinemaSins, how they would point out everything that was, like, wrong about, like, a movie or a movie trailer? It would basically be like that, but for a book and in a blog format, where, like, you would go, like, every week they do, like, a new chapter of the book or something, and then have, like, they'd assign points to stuff where it'd be, like, you know, my inner goddess is the salsa, like, has, like, 5 points. For, like, whenever in the book the writer, like, says a line like that. Or like giant fucking red flag or whatever, like 58 points. You know, they keep track via a point system of like everything that was like wrong with the book, essentially. It was very like, very prescriptive. It was like, we were very, like, yeah, I know now we talk about things being really judgmental, but we were judgmental in our own way, like, you know, still 15 years ago. They didn't just come out of nowhere. That's more or less what it is. I'm not sure what the origin of the term sporking is. I think I've looked it up before, but I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's like lampooning something. It's like, you know, going after something and like reading it for filth. You're just going through everything that's wrong with it and talking about how terrible it is. And you're like laughing about it as you go along. Have you made a video about privacy in the home away from kids and roommates? How to soundproof a room or what materials are easy to hide? I actually do. I do have a video. I think it's like how to be discreet in BDSM. Let me see if I can find it. I published it like a couple months ago. It's like relatively recent. Let me see if I can find it here. What is, I'm like in the era where I would have been talking about it. It's called Quiet Scenes, Privacy and Staying Discreet During BDSM. And then the thumbnail says, here, I'll just show you, how to have quiet and private scenes. So let me, yeah, I think that's like, I'm not gonna, here you go, you can see. People love the Kink Talk video. Yeah, that did big numbers. But it's this one. It's from 11 months ago. A little older than I thought it was. It was like 8 months ago. Okay. Love when you are really lots of questions and you balance it so well, Evie. You're in the zone. It's great to hear. Well, I'm glad. Bandita does in fact yawn. It is true. I feel like a lot of the folks that say things like sub safely in such circumstances probably break out of the handcuffs occasionally. Think that's BDSM. Yeah. Listen, I don't want to kink shame anybody for their level of participation in various things, but I mean, honestly, and this is something I've said before, but it's worth repeating. I genuinely think a lot of people just don't understand what BDSM actually looks like. And they think that all BDSM is when a man hits a woman, and then that's BDSM. And that, like, even people that are kinky will sort of repeat this and say things like, I mean, yeah, like, you know, BDSM, like, can be used as an excuse for people who just want to, like, beat women up. But it's like, I honestly, like, I don't think that sadism is even the, like, main culprit for, like, when things go wrong in BDSM, even when it's, like, male perpetrators against, like, female submissives. I don't even think that's the main thing. I don't think it's, like, sadists being like, hey, I'm gonna, like, finally get my dark urges out by, like, finding a willing victim. Like, I don't think that's the main problem. I don't think it's, like, mostly, I think most of the danger actually, not most, but, like, one of the more common sources of danger is not, like, sadists that, like, have a really unhealthy relationship with it and are just, like, looking for people to, like, enact their dark urges on. I think it's much more common, like, I don't know, probably 7 out of 10 times I hear someone have a bad experience in the BDSM scene. It's with bondage. It's not even somebody who necessarily identifies as a sadist at all, or even, like, hurts anyone, or, like, does any kind of impact whatsoever. It's oftentimes, you know, again, 7 out of 10 probably, it's men who want to tie women up to then basically make it impossible for them to, like, say no to sexual acts. Or, like, control their bodies in other ways. Like, it actually isn't about pain at all. It's about being able to have access to a person's body easily and, like, coerce them into sexual situations. And bondage is way easier to do that with than a sadist, or doing any kind of, like, sadomasochism. If you like, gave me a choice and you were like, okay, you can do a pick-up play scene with somebody. You have to do one. You have to choose between a pick-up play scene with a stranger that you don't know in their house, and your option is somebody who's a sadist and somebody who does a lot of bondage and their main kink is rope bondage. I would be tempted to pick the rope bondage because I really like rope, but I would probably pick the sadist because I'd be way more unsafe probably in bondage with somebody I don't know than, like, just doing sadomasochism with someone. But that's just in my observation. Like, it's this misunderstanding of risk that happens. We're like, ooh, the BDSM is, like, really risky is when, like, somebody's, like, beating on you. But, like, again, most of the time in BDSM, it's, like, very carefully cultivated strikes to particular areas of the body that have been perfected over time through repeat trial and error, proven to be the spots of the body that produce the most pleasure, as opposed to, like, bondage, which is, like, inherently a lot higher risk, and it for some reason seems to attract more dangerous people than seemingly sadomasochism does. But I don't know if maybe that's just, like, I also think partly it's, like, rope bondage tends to attract newer people because they can be drawn in by the aesthetics of very fancy rope bondage, whereas, like, most new people are kind of inherently turned off from, like, really intense sadomasochism because it looks really scary, whereas bondage is, like, pretty, artful, makes you look hot and attractive, would be good for your profile photo. Sadomasochism, that seems scary and intense and, like, weird, and I don't want to do that. I think that's also probably part of it as well. BDSM is when consensual domestic violence, apparently to some people. Yeah. Like, I just think anytime we're having this conversation, we need to not reduce it down to, like, men beating up women. I mean, even like again, there's always a time when it happens. There's too many people who do BDSM for that to like not happen. Of course, it's going to be true at least some of the time, but it's not the majority of the time, and it's not enough, I think, to like call it out that way. Yeah, it's people being drawn in by the glamour of suspension, plus the idea that it's a gateway kink, which is wild because, like, again, if you had me choose between, like, you get to pick one scene to do and you're brand new to kink, you have no information, which one would you recommend to someone? You can either do, like, a Swiss seat. I won't even pick the kind of, but you can either do suspension rope bondage, or you can do, let's say, a paddling scene, because I said that one already. Most people are probably going to pick the suspension because it looks cooler, but in terms of potential risk and damage to your body, the paddling is like way less likely to cause you actual bodily harm. Mm. Yeah, it's funny sometimes to say it as a joke, like ironically, but I think we're in a stage of cultural discourse where like even like unless you're in like a space that's like predominantly kinksters, it's probably not a wise idea to like say it in public, because then it's just going to fuel that belief that like, see, they even admit it, they know that what they're doing is bad and like is actually this one thing. Again, it doesn't, they don't actually like, I think if you look at like what are the most like popular kinks that like people try, like the most popular kinks, like probably spanking is like the highest on the list of ones that are common. Like pretty much there's like so many things that come before that, like anal training, any kind of bondage, anything with like deep throating. Like there's so many other like kinks and like things that are like quasi kink but also just kind of like rough sex acts that kind of walk that line that are way more popular than just sadomasochism. I think I have the same water jug. It is the best. I use this all the time. I have two. I have a green one. Oh, I got stickers finally. I'm going to put stickers on these. I have a critical mass now where I think I can actually like decorate these bottles sufficiently. I just feel like I didn't want to have like a lightly decorated bottle. I want to go all out. So like prepare yourself for updated bottle stickers. That'll be cute and adorable. Also, you totally do not have to read Dorky. You can give that one a pass. You can read the cliff notes, I guess, if you really wanted to know, right? That's probably fine. Somebody's done a summary out there. Somebody's done a YouTube video of like reading Dworkin. Point is, stop being abused isn't helpful in either case. Yes, exactly. It's just like you're not actually helping anything. Like here's okay, maybe just to make this like slightly productive, because I don't think I talked about this too much in the video. Like, what can you do to help someone if you think that they are potentially like being abused or in some kind of unhealthy relationship dynamic with someone? I think that probably the best thing that you can do is just, if you're observing something and you already know them, you can gently and privately, not in front of a big audience, not on Facebook, not on social media, don't leave a comment under a FetLife photo, like in a discreet way where like the person I don't know, like maybe worries like being abused, like their abuser could see this conversation happening, in a discreet way, reach out to be like, hey, I just wanted to know how things are going. What's been going on with you? Just like establish a rapport, establish a human connection with this person, be a safe space for them to be able to talk about stuff. And then, like, if you see things that are worrying, just, like, check in. Don't make assumptions. Don't try to tell them anything in particular is happening to them. If it gets to a point where you're like, of course this escalates. If we're talking about, like, I'm afraid that this person is going to be, like, irreparably harmed by their partner the next time something happens, like, you can escalate from there and, like, be more direct if you feel like you're getting to a point where, like, I have to do something more direct right now, or else something will happen that they cannot walk away from. Like, that's different. I'd like, but you know, a lot of the time, especially if you're at a stage where like you can still intervene and talk to this person in any kind of private way, like it's probably not quite to that point yet. Most of the time, you still have some wiggle room to be able to talk about, you know, hey, what's going on? Just wondering how things are going, you know, and then open up to them, be vulnerable to them, you know, maybe share your story if you've been somebody who has experienced like a toxic relationship or an abusive relationship or something. If you can show that you're trustworthy, that you know what they're going through, that you can empathize with them, and that you respect them as a person, they might be more willing to reach out to you eventually if something is actually going on. But the problem with trying to assess something off of one photo is that you can't really do that because, again, it's a pervasive pattern. It's not something that just happens like once and that's it. So you're trying to establish, like, is a pervasive pattern going on here? Is this something that's consistent? What's happening? Obviously, there can be ups and downs, right? Because, like, it's the cycle of abuse, right? There's a cycle. But, you know, just reach out, be friendly to them, establish a human connection. And then, you know, if you have resources to offer, you can offer those. If you, like, want to, you know, like, even if it's just, like, not even necessarily about getting them help for DV, but, like, a big thing that happens with a lot of people with DV and IPV is they don't have a lot of social connection. So being that friend that they can have, maybe introducing them to new friends, try to help them grow their social group, maybe encourage them to do things, or like, you know, take them to go and do things, facilitate that happening, to go socialize with people, like take a pottery class together, you know, take a dance class together, go to events together. Like, don't necessarily again, with DP and IPV, I'd be very careful with like what activities you're doing, and, you know, staying, you know, trying the same position where like hopefully you won't be forced out by the person who is abusive if they in fact are, but staying a contact that like proves yourself as being someone who genuinely cares about them. That is like what actually can really help, because having that human personal connection, that's the thing that like will help someone get out. Either if it's for being a sounding board for themselves, affirming them, validating them, and being that safe space. Because like if all you're doing is like 50 people are telling you that you're being abused, and then, like, you still, that doesn't change the fact that you don't, like, have a way to get out. That doesn't change the fact you have no friends in real life who can, like, let you couch surf because, like, your partner moved you 3 states away, and now you don't know anyone in this small town in, like, Colorado where you live now. So, you know, if you don't have resources, you don't have money, you don't have transportation, you don't have a job, you don't have, like, any outside social connections. It doesn't matter how many people online are being like, actually, you're being abused, because you don't have the means to leave the situation you're in. And until we help people establish that, we're not really being helpful, like leaping to that point, right? I'm not an incel, but do you think it's unfair that a very small group of men on dating apps are getting the vast majority of women? I don't know if that's true. I guess I can't say anything about that. I don't know what the data actually suggests. Also, what does getting women mean? Are we talking about, like, getting a date, having a relationship, having sex with them? Like, I think, honestly, it's probably the minority in both directions. Like, I think there's a small number of men who are probably the most successful with getting matches. And there's probably a larger but still small number of women that will, well, actually, I don't know. A lot of women will get matches, and you will get a lot of matches, but the vast majority of those matches are meaningless because of the way that a lot of men use dating apps. So it's like, yeah, if you look just off of matches, like, oh, well, like 90% of women get matches and only like 10% of men get matches or whatever. Sure, if you're looking at it that way. But like, does matching actually lead to having successful relationships, going on an actual date, having a conversation with someone? Because if you're getting 10 times more matches, but you're having like the same number of dates, like I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense necessarily, but I don't think that's, I mean, I don't know about fair. Like, I don't think it would, like, if it's not fair, what's the solution? That's what I want to know. Actually, please tell me this. If you think that that's unfair, what do you think the solution is? Please tell me. I'm apparently adopting a new habit, and I'm not sure where this is coming from. Maybe that means that my like mental health training I've been doing is working on an unexpected new direction. I would love to know if this is something that concerns you and you're worried that it's unfair. What do you think the solution is? Please tell me. Okay. While I'm waiting on that answer, I will look for another super chat here, which says, Tom, how can you deal with creeper people at a party and still have fun? Are they being creepy to you or towards other people? So if they're being creepy towards other people and you're worried about it, step one is talking to a DM. So a dungeon monitor, some kind of, I don't know what term your area might use. It could be dungeon monitor. It could be like party host. It could be a couple other things. But look for somebody who is organizing the event, who has the authority to be able to step in and say something. As an individual person who's like a random attendee, you intervening and being like, hey, don't talk to that lady or whatever. Like that's probably not going to go super well. It's going to escalate and then like you can both end up getting in trouble. But if that doesn't work, if maybe they don't have DMs, if maybe it's at a bar or like something like less organized, you don't really have an authority you can go to, then I think you go into like the classic, I'm seeing a person at a bar getting hit on by somebody really aggressively and like they obviously don't want to be there. You can like step in and like say, hey, try to like diffuse the situation and like put the attention on you and like give the person an opportunity to like walk away from that conversation. And hopefully at like a party environment, like getting into conversations with people is like a routine thing. Like it's going to be pretty normal for that environment. But I lost my train of thought for a second. Yeah, so that's what would happen if it's not happening to you. And if there's like some kind of authority you can go to, that's like the order you would do things in. Secondarily, if it is happening to you and you're seeing this happen, try to find an ally. Like, make it visually obvious to other people that, like, you are not comfortable in this scenario. Try to politely extract yourself. Try to say, like, oh, I'm supposed to meet someone, or, like, you don't have to go do something, or, like, make eye contact with someone and then say, like, oh, that's so-and-so, I need to go, like, check in with them. Like, give yourself an excuse to be able to leave, especially if you can find a DM or somebody that can, like, again, be an authority to step in. Like, make eye contact with them and make obvious, like, hey, please, like, come over here and, like, help me. But like, you don't have to physically stay. And I know it's really scary, and I've been there before of like, there's creepy people and they're trying to force me to have a conversation. I don't want to be there. Or maybe not even a conversation. Maybe they're doing other things. I'm assuming it's a conversation because that's probably the most common thing, but it may not be that. We'll talk about other creepy things that might be happening. I can definitely cover that as well. But yeah, I think basically when you're dealing with that and it's something that like you're uncomfortable with, I think looking for an ally, and this is advanced level. If you feel very secure in yourself as a person, you can just very definitively and in a voice that like other people around you will be able to hear, you can just say, hey, I don't want to talk to you right now. And like, you have to get over the fact that, especially if you're a woman, you're probably going to be labeled as a bitch for doing that. But that's okay, because you're a bitch who stood their ground. And that's, well, you're asking as Tom, so I don't know, maybe you're asking on behalf of somebody else, whatever. If you're in a creepy scenario with somebody, you just say, hey, like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, you just be, like, real blunt about it. Be like, you can try nice, and you can try diplomatic, and if that's not getting the message across, you have to be a broken record, and you have to be blunt about, like, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be in this conversation, I don't want to talk to you. I'm uncomfortable. You have to like, don't even give them an option. Just be like, I'm not talking to you anymore. This conversation is over. Like, don't give them an option. Don't be like, oh, like, maybe we could talk about this thing instead. Like, just make it very clear to them, like, you don't want to be there, because at that point, people are going to turn and look. They're going to hear what's going on. They're going to see that other person, and hopefully that person will experience enough shame in that social setting to like back off and like not talk to you. And maybe then you can talk to a DM about it afterwards. They weren't able to help you, and like maybe they can do something with like, giving that person a warning, making it so maybe they can't go to parties for a while until they do some kind of training. Like there's tools that you can have to like help this not happen again. Now, if we're talking about creepers during a scene, if we're talking about someone interrupting a scene, masturbating inappropriately, maybe involving themselves in a scene, trying to touch people non-consensually, not just having a conversation, but getting into like touching things, you take the same steps I just talked about, but you escalate it way more quickly. Like if it was somebody interrupting a scene space or doing touching, like I wouldn't even try to like be nice, try to find an ally. I would just immediately be like, very clearly say, physically, if you can, move their body parts away and be like, do not touch that. Especially if you're a top and they're trying to touch your bottom, physically move them away. Be like, you can't touch that. This is not yours. Get away. Like, hey, buddy, this is not a petting zoo. Like, just get out of my scene. Like, make it very obvious that you're not happy, that you don't want what's happening to be happening, and that they were very firmly told no in an unambiguous way. So that way they can't claim that, like, oh, well, like, I didn't know. I thought it was part of the scene. Blah, 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 blah. Like, just don't give them any edgewise room to, get into that territory. That's probably what I would do. And then again, like, you can also, like, if it's really bad, if somebody's, like, interrupting a scene and they're, like, insisting on touching someone, if they're initiating some kind of sexual contact, if they're trying to fondle someone, say red. Say whatever the space's safe word is. If it's red, safe word, whatever, say it loudly, get DMs to come over. Because, like, safe words are not even just about, like, the one-on-one interaction that you're having with the person you're doing a scene with. You can also say a safe word if some other third party has invited themselves in and is acting in a way that you find to be inappropriate and unwanted. And then that will, like, if nothing else happens, even if there's not DMs, if you say a safe word or your partner does really loudly in a space, other people are going to come over a lot of the time and make it their problem. My question was more to have fun after the ick happened. Oh, sure. I mean, I think it is difficult to get back into, like, a positive headspace, like, once something that's not fun has happened. This is probably what I would do. I'm not sure this is, like, the best way to handle it, but this is, like, the way that I would do it. I would try to remove myself from the situation. So, depending on, like, how the event space you're in is set up, if there's separate rooms, if there's an outdoor area, if you can go outside and come back in, I would find a way to, like, leave the environment that the uncomfortable thing happened in. So for me, that would probably look like if I could leave the dungeon and just go outside, maybe walk around the block if it's still light outside, or just, like, hang out outside for a bit, maybe distract myself for a bit on my phone, play, like, a phone game, just kind of get my mind off of what happened and, like, try to, like, do some, like, healthy distraction more or less for a bit to get my mind off of it. Take a deep breath. If I'm with someone, if I'm with a partner, talk to them and, like, come with a game plan for what we want to do. I probably wouldn't go in and do a scene again or, like, play again and do something. I would just, especially, also it depends. If, like, the person is still there, I would try very hard to make sure I'm not in the same space as them. I try to keep tabs on where they're at. But if they were, like, asked to leave and they're no longer there or they left on their own, then I feel more comfortable going back in. But I'd probably just tell myself something along the lines of, like, all right, that happened, that sucked, and that was really uncomfortable, but it's over now, and it's no longer happening, and it's done. I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to try to find a way to have fun with the rest of my night. And then I will just, like, throw myself into trying to have fun. I will, like, look for my friends. I will look at scenes that I think are fun. I will try to find a way to, like, reconnect to the, like, positive social atmosphere of the BDSM experience that's happening, or, like, maybe finding a new group of people to talk to. But honestly, for me, I'd probably just, like, focus on, like, watching scenes and hanging out with the people that I already knew that were there. But I think having that disconnection, like, break time of, like, we're no longer in the environment, we're decompressing for a second, we're letting maybe the emotions of the situation dissipate a little bit, the anxiety, the fear, the adrenaline rush, kind of letting that go for a bit, maybe doing some breathing exercises. If you have the space and time and, like, you have this in your back pocket already, you can do some breathing exercises. You can do, like, a little meditation or a mindfulness thing. Again, doing something to break up that mental state and, like, not staying stuck in it can help you go back in and have a more positive experience. But that's probably what I would do. Good question, though. I'm sorry that happened. Like a lot of things, there's no one way to end all abuse, and kink is one of the many things that we'll hide behind. I don't think you can identify it from injuries alone, although that is a way to start. Yeah, I think that that's probably true. Like, obviously you can't really, like, definitively tell just from, like, a photo or, like, one picture, one story, whether or not, like, something is happening or it's not happening. But also, like, even if we got rid of BDSM overnight, obviously abusers are going to hide with something else. This is a point that I make a lot in videos, is when you were looking at abuse It's not just like, ooh, it's hiding in kink or it's hiding this. Like, abusers are going to go anywhere that they can find potential victims in. If that's going into one niche kink, if it's in BDSM as a whole, if it's in different fandom groups, if it's in the different social media apps, like, they're going to go where potential victims are at, and it kind of doesn't matter necessarily what it is as long as they get access to the people they're looking for. Have a smoke and shake it off, basically. Yeah, that is the advice, but hopefully a little healthier than cigarettes. I don't know. I guess there's a ritual with having a cigarette, and what is meditation if not a mental ritual we're performing? I'd probably look at cute animal photos and videos, not gonna lie. I saw a really cute video on Instagram yesterday that was of a baby porcupine. They're so soft looking. I didn't know they were. He was so frustrated trying to go over a log, and I just kept rooting for him. And I was like, just go around the log. You don't have to get so. It was so short, he couldn't get over it. Oh my god, it's ridiculous. That's probably what I probably watch. That would reset my brain instantly. That's why they call it brain bleach, right? To me, being impulsive about assuming abuse in kink and getting pushy about it ends up like, let's fix this imagined breach of autonomy by breaching autonomy. Yeah, I think I referenced that earlier. That is a thing that happens. Good point. If the working class doesn't have time for introspection about sexuality, they probably don't have time for introspection about class consciousness. The idea that it's bourgeois is self-defeating. I'm out. If I, a queer kinkster, am so bourgeois, can we only have $143? That's a great point. I mean, technically, if you own the means of production, Lexi, because if you're like a housewife and you bought the vacuum cleaner, that means are you bourgeois if you own your own vacuum cleaner and clean your house? That's I'm taking the piss again, but it's funny to think about that. To some extent, exposure to different types of people and bodies and qualities does affect what attracts people. Now I'm one of those people who says, I heard about a study once, but I didn't get what it is. We've all heard of a study once. I definitely think that there is like some degree of, like, if you have a diversity of exposure as you are developing your sense of sexual identity, of course you're going to, potentially have a broader palette if you're exposed to more different types of people versus only seeing one image repeatedly. Exactly. What do you think all the kinksters are going to do if we get rid of BDSM? Guess what? Still kink, just without the protection of the community. Yeah, it's like people are always going to do this, whether it's because like people have been doing this for a very long time, maybe not forever, but like some variant of these kinds of expressions have been happening for a very long time in the course of human history. And if it's not through a community outlet, it's going to be privately in the bedroom. And oftentimes those ways of doing it can be dangerous because you don't have the shared benefit of community education and knowledge being pulled together and being able to take advantage of that resource. Are cucumbers bourgeois? Not if you grow them in your own backyard. Buying imported cucumbers, like Persian cucumbers or whatever, those are bourgeois. I feel like it would be really funny to do a bourgeois hot or not, to decide whether or not something is bourgeois or not, just based on one image. Is it tomato? Like, tomato. I don't get the impression that a tomato is bourgeois. Maybe in like Asia it would be. Somewhere where it's a little bit less like commonly grown. Not a routine thing. Right, also same. I'm a survivor of multiple actual types of abuse. It's always felt infantilizing for people to tell me I just don't realize consensually negotiated stuff is secret abuse. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, we have to save people. Just don't realize yet that that's what they're like. How about this is like, I don't know. This I'm not going to make the comparison I was going to make that happened in my head just now. But again, it goes back to and not that we can't care about multiple things at once, because obviously we can, right? This is our brains are capable of holding multiple things simultaneously. We're like really advanced living creatures that way. But it's fascinating to me that the weight goes on to, we need to help people identify that they're even being abused in the first place, even when they say they're not being abused, and that is somehow worth energy that we do not expend at all whatsoever on helping existing people that already know they're being abused and are attempting to leave those scenarios, whether it's, fundraisers, donating time or money, we're operating, or volunteering in an abuse hotline, helping out at a shelter, promoting these things, giving people access to resources. Like, the vast majority of people, the only thing they do is just, like, label things for other people on their behalf, but there's not any follow through on it. It's like, this is okay. I'll just make the comparison because it keeps coming up in my head. But it's like when pro-life people just think about how, like, all babies are deserving of life, but then once they're born, they're not interested whatsoever in, like, helping mother and baby. They want WIC to go away. They want to get rid of, like, free formula for infants. So as soon as you're, no free daycare, no free childcare, no government subsidized, childcare programs, no mandated maternity leave, nothing at all that would help anyone, like, actually in the rearing of that child or help that child have a better life once they're born. It's only about preventing the one thing at the very beginning and then not focusing on the 99% of it that's, like, actually, like, the bulk of the issue. Which is, like, people that know they're being abused that can't get out because they don't have a support network to help them do that. And, like, this is something that I've seen in, like, my own personal life. I don't really, like, talk about that on my channel too much, but, like, I definitely, like, have known people in my life that have gone through those things before where, like, they knew for a very long time that what was happening in their life was not correct, but because of their life circumstances, because of the culture they were raised in, it took them years and years to be able to leave a partner that was actually, like, all different kinds of abusive. And they didn't leave for, like, lack of desire to leave or because they didn't know that what was happening to them was wrong. It was because they didn't have a support system that would, like, give them permission to do that, essentially. And they also, like, didn't have the financial resources and the physical means to be able to leave. That's why I have strong opinions about this, basically. That's the only reason, but I also care because I have empathy for people that have really unfortunate life experiences, and I'm, like, capable of accessing that empathy on a regular basis. But also because it's, like, pretty much everyone I know knows someone who has gone through something like this. Like, it's unbelievably, like, so common, unbelievably common. What's with all the incel focus today? They can fix their hearts staying where they are. I don't know. I haven't even talked about, like, dating or incels, like, in a minute. I don't know where that comes from. I haven't even published my, like, dating app review video yet. Orgasms are dependent if you get pregnant or not. Yeah. Like, and I think I like to be clear, I like a communist feminist analysis. I love doing that shit. I love thinking about, like, how, like, combining anti-capitalist and feminist patterns of thinking to the way society is organized. Like, I think that that's really like, worthwhile analysis, but that's not, like, the only thing that's worth thinking about. I think the incels are just permanently angry at you, Evie. That's so weird. What did I do? Listen, you will notice that the entire time I have been talking about abuse today, I've never said she, I've never said her. Unless I'm talking about a specific example where I'm talking about, like, and then, like, Amanda's, like, I have been very clear throughout the entire process of today when I'm talking, when I've said people and I've said they, and I've not gendered types of people who experience abuse or the people who perpetuate abuse, because I don't think that abuse has a gender. I don't think the victims of abuse have a gender. But for some reason, the incels tell me that I don't care about men, when I specifically earlier today called it the fact that I think a lot of people completely disregard and don't think about male and mask and, like, gender nonconforming and agender victims of abuse, because there's a lot of reasons for that, but yeah. They're permanently mad at all women, all femmes. Yeah, I haven't made this stream exclusively about their issues, so that must mean that I don't care about men. So even though I literally just asking questions and answering them from my audience, like, I'm just getting the questions I'm getting. This is about as unbiased as you can get in terms of sourcing. Mm-hmm. I give him, oh my god, I give him low marks for this performance. I wish I could pin multiple comments because that would definitely be up there with you can't spell cucumber without cum. Just thinking about it again makes me laugh. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, we have 15 minutes. Now is your opportunity. Ask your questions again. Put them in the chat. I'll try to get to them as quickly as I can. No promises, but I will try my best. And whenever you need a break, look at my dog. Let her cuteness hypnotize you, as it does to me every day. I will look at Bandit to regain some calm. Exactly. That's why literally the reason why I put her on camera is because I think that she is an inherently calming force. And if you ever need eye or ear bleach, you can just look and just see her adorableness. You were staring at me. Why are you staring, baby? What an interesting time to walk into the conversation, truly. Okay, I might also stream tomorrow on Instagram. I'm playing around with that idea. I'm feeling my wild oats. I don't think that's the phrase. This is how I'm going to use it though. I'm feeling my wild oats. I'm risking it for the biscuit. I don't even know what that phrase means. I'm just saying it. just saying what people say. I may be streaming on Instagram tomorrow. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do. I may just do makeup. I may bake something. So if you wanna see me do some fun stuff I can't do contained in this box here on YouTube.com, I'm on Instagram at ev.lupine. I actually could probably change it back just to evlupine. I had a dot in it for a while because at one point I had like some account restrictions and I was worried about getting my account deleted, so I had changed my username. Like I thought that would help for some reason, but it's ev.lupine. How do you feel about the bi-erasure uptick? I feel like it's all interconnected. That's what I feel like. I feel like all of the anti-kink, the anti-trans, the anti-bisexual, the anti-everything, it's all interconnected, and it's because you are not being a good enough queer. That's why. That's why it exists. And it's very annoying, and it's extremely ironic coming from a generation of, in large part, is extremely like more likely to identify as like bi and pan than ever before. Just like, what are you doing, people? What's going on? Recommendations for when both sub and dom likes to make the other person happy more than anything, so they don't know what to ask in order to make the other one happy because they make one happy. Oh my god, this is like a question for the philosophers. Likes to make the other person happy more than anything, so they don't know what to ask. Okay, what I think, I have two interpretations of what you just asked. I think one interpretation is because each person likes to make the other one happy, and that's what their main focus is on, neither party has anything that independently makes them happy because they just want to focus on making their partner happy. Oh, honey! We're good. We're okay. That happens sometimes. That's just a Pomeranian thing that happens because she has a soft trachea. But she is well. Do not fret, people. Oh, look at the stretch. Boop. There we go. She's preparing for action. She knows that the stream normally ends in like 10 minutes, but I'm probably gonna go for longer. Don't tell her. But so there's that interpretation, and then there's what each person wants already makes the other person happy, so they don't have anything that uniquely makes only one of them happy. I don't know. My inclination is to get a giant list of things, and like actually they have one in like the DBT workbook. This is like the most unexpected connection to the DBT workbook I think I've ever like had in this. Let's see. I think it's in like the part where it's talking about like building a resilience. There's like a whole Distracting. Improving the moment. Okay. Willingness. Okay, no, I think I went past it. I know at some point in here there's like a really big. Oh, wait. I think I just went past it. Wait. There we go. Haha. I went too far. Okay. It's this. This is a pleasant event list. There's a list of all different pleasant things you can do. This is emotional regulation handout number 16. You can find this on the internet if you Google it. And it's a whole list of really fun things you can do, like flying kites and relaxing and jogging and buying household gadgets. I like that one. Buying household gadgets. buying like 20 egg beaters. So funny. Practicing karate, yoga, painting. And if you don't know what else to do, you're like, I want to do something that makes you happy. What can we do together? Get one of these, and then each one of you print this out and then check off the things that you like doing and then do them together. You will notice that none of these are kink things, right? Arranging flowers, probably not kinky. Practicing a religion, that could be kinky if you worship your partner, but probably not for most people. Going to a party, playing golf, most of the things not kinky. But there's something fun that you can do together. And you can turn a lot of these into a dom-sub activity if you wanted to, right? Like, you could turn something like, I don't know, let's pick one here. Thinking about retirement. Is that a pleasant activity for people? Guess it is. What was the one? Like singing around the house. Like that could be one of them. Reading magazines or newspapers, like having your partner read to you. It's like a DDLG thing. That could be like a SOM-dub thing, a sub-dom thing. Doodling, right? Lots of fun things. Lots of fun things that you can just do that are like fun to do. So that's like a good way to get ideas, because then you're each doing it, and then the point of you each doing it at the same time separately and filling it out is that you can't cheat. You can't be like, whatever you want to do, master, whatever makes you happy. No, your assignment is to pick something out that you like independently on your own, and then you can go and do it as a little treat, as like a little fun little date thingy, and then it's fun. Every single one of these things could be kinky if you try hard enough. Yeah, exactly. Laying in the sun could be kinky if you do it when you're like handcuffed together, like you're in Love and Leashes. Back bed and story time. True. That's a good one. Stamp collecting even. That could be a kinky one. Kinky flower arrangement where the sub is the vase. I don't know how that would work. I planned to do a scene like this, and then I ran out of time to be able to do it. Because I had another scene planned that night. But I have actually done something, planned it like this. You do full body rope bondage, and then you put the flower stems in between the skin and the rope. And then sometimes you hit them off with like a whip or something. Not that I would ever do that, but you have options. A really good idea. Thank you so much. You're so welcome. And also it's good just for your life too. If you're down and you're by yourself and you're like, what can I do to elevate my mood? You can arrange flowers. I don't know why. It's like my favorite one on there that I go back to a lot. It's just like a fun example. Because it's true. Arranging flowers is a fun activity. You'll be independent and you'll like it, little Missy. Exactly. You're going to go do something fun on your own. You will make your own choices. The best way to please me as your master is to be able to make independent choices about what things you enjoy. Oh, God. Oh, no, is this, is Bendita pressing her head into the floor? Yeah, she does it all the time. She likes to press her head into the floor and then, like, wiggle around, because she likes to itch. She, like, itches the top of her, like, nose bridge that way, I think. It's very funny. It's called, I had a name for it. It was, like, palm pouting or something. It's very funny. The dom can then prune the sub with knife play. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Would you ever teach a physical school for kink? I mean, like, I teach in-person classes at, like, conventions. That's probably the closest thing. I don't think I don't by myself, because I don't, like, top really. I don't, like, have the skill set to be able to teach everyone everything they need to know about kink in, like, an in-person setting. Like, I'm really good at talking about kink, and I'm really good at, like, the theoretical psychological stuff and, like, power exchange and that, but, like, I don't know how to teach you how to, like, throw a whip. I don't know how to do that shit. That's not me. I don't know how to do that. I don't know about CBT. I don't know about, like, electrical play. Like, there'd be lots of gaps in the knowledge base if I were to do that. But I think if it was part of some kind of group of people, and it was like, because they do kind of a similar thing with bondage. It's called, like, bondage soup. I think that could be, like, fun to do at some point. But I wouldn't want it to be too formalized or, like, crazy expensive. Like, it would, like, I'd want to do something that actually was helpful and not just about, like, I don't know, doing one of those, like, pickup artist, like, in-person $5,000 courses that are scams. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna look for more questions here. Chat, you get so much more out of not asking leading questions. You want to know what somebody thinks about a topic? Just ask them what they think about the topic. That's a great point. But I don't think people always necessarily want to actually know what my opinion is. They want to know if I confirm or deny what they think the correct answer is. And a lot of people do that. Oh, the audio stream's bitrate is 0. How is it possible that the audio is different? How does that happen? Can you guys hear me okay? Are you guys, is this thing on? Hello? All right, it went away. I don't know what that, that's a new one. That's a new alert I've never seen before. I didn't even know it was possible. My camera turned green yesterday because the cord got slightly pulled out of the camera. And then today, my audio bitrate flops. I didn't even know that was possible. Are we talking about crows being into shiny things? We can hear you. Okay, good. Are pickup artists a scam? In general, yes. I'm not going to say that all of them are a scam because I think there's probably people who identify as pickup artists or are part of that world that actually give good dating advice. I can't name any, but, like, it's possible. It's just not maybe the main way of doing it, so I don't know. Also, can I just say, I'm very happy. My hair is, like, finally, I'm achieving my share hair goals. My, like, 70 share hair goals is happening. Like, that's who I want to be. If you're like, Evie, who do you want to look like? Who do you want to be? I want to be Cher from the 70s, all right? And I'm like, my hair is almost there. I'm, like, growing out. My side bangs we're almost fully at that, like, sheath of a one length hair, and I'm here for it. I'm loving it. Just as an aside. If you were a bird, what would you be? Barn owl, probably. I haven't thought about that too much. I have to ask. I'll ask my partners. I'll go back to you next week. I'll have a survey of, like, I'll just ask people, what bird do you think I am? I suspect it'll probably be some kind of owl or possibly a very tiny bird that's unexpectedly dangerous. Probably one of those two. What's my favorite bird? Oh, I don't know. I like lots of birds. Secretary birds, probably my favorite. Just to look at, just aesthetically, secretary birds are my favorite. Ooh, good one. As a Dom, how do I best recognize and reward my service sub? I need someone to bring my praise game up to reward his praise kink. Ooh, that's a good one. How do I recognize and reward my service sub? So I'm not sure what you would have tried yet. I feel like if it also depends on, like, what kind of things you're into. If you're into sort of more the, like, paperworky side of things and keeping things very formalized, I feel like having some kind of, like, how was our service today? Like, scan this QR code to, like, rate your service. like survey could be fun, where like you make one of those and then like every single time they do a service act for you, or like at the end of the day, if it's like a lot in one day, you can do a rating, and then at the option, like the bottom where you can like leave a comment, you can like leave a really nice comment that like specifically says things that you enjoy. I find generally like praise that's like, you're such a good girl, or like, you're such an obedient boy, like that's nice, but I think what most people like is specificity. I think that is what really helps people feel seen, is when someone can be specific about not just like, oh, you're being really good and I'm happy with you, but like, what did they actually do that you appreciated? And the more specific you can get, the better. Like, I feel like if my partner tells me that like, it's like, let's say I had someone that like, you know, I made them like dinner or something, and they just said, oh, dinner was really good, that would be nice. But then if they told me like, I really liked how you made dinner, you were so thoughtful with remembering what my favorite foods are, and you took a lot of time to prepare something in a way that you knew that I'd like, and you like, you know, was spiced perfectly, and you know, whatever, you know, it met all my dietary restrictions, like that is like, it's very specific and it demonstrates a level of appreciation. It's not just like a mindless thank you. So basically with like, I think rewarding service, what you're trying to do is be commensurate with the level of service given in how specific you are with what was really good. It could even be down to like, if you are doing like coffee service, like the way that they set the coffee down, the way that they approach you to be able to do it was like particularly unobtrusive. The flavor of the coffee was particularly good. Like it can be about their actions, it can be about the quality of what they're doing. So yeah, that's basically what I would think of for elevating the praise, part of the praise kink, because then they'll know that they did really good, and because it's so specific, they know what to repeat for next time and how to elevate it even more for next time. And I think a lot of people will appreciate that. I'm just remembering the torture scene from Princess Bride. How would you rate your pain? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Smell a little insecurity. Just be chill, homie. Just be chill, homie. It's generally good advice. It applies to a lot of situations. What? I don't think anyone's saying that you're an abuser just by being a guy. What's happening? That's not true. I don't think anyone thinks that. Okay, this is, okay, if anyone wants to understand why people get frustrated by, like, miniature people, this is why. It's because somebody will say, why does everyone assume that because I'm getting out my nail filer just so I can point? Somebody will say, why does everyone think I'm an abuser just because I'm a man? And then someone will explain, not everyone, people don't think that all men are abusers, but because of how often men mistreat women or gay people or trans people or whatever, like, because that happens so often, we have to be cautious by default. And then that turns into, why are you blaming me for other men's actions? I'm a good guy. Why don't you just trust me? And then that, you just talk past it. You didn't validate, you just talk past it. The key to making people feel heard is to validate what their experiences are, to try to put yourself in their shoes. So I will do that by way of demonstration by saying, I think that it's really shitty that you have been made to feel like other people assume that you are abusive just because of your gender. That's a really shitty way to feel, and it's very unfortunate. I think that can be a side effect of a lot of the conversations that we have and how ubiquitous it is to have conversations where people dunk on like manus or people. It can feel like you're getting lumped into all of that. At the same time, it can also be true that there are legitimate reasons why people are cautious around people of different genders, and of like, you know, certain presentations or whatever, because of like the fact that abuse is so ubiquitous and so under talked about, and is not something that people generally feel supported if and when it does happen. I've done that scene. It's awesome. It's like the I hate waffles, so you hate pancakes then tweet. Exactly. It's just like that. I don't know. I don't know how, if you're chill, you're chill. I just probably won't be sexually into you. Got turned into, so I'm an abuser then. Exactly. Yeah. It's if you're wondering why people, I think we've identified the problem, and this is a very common thing that a lot of people struggle with. It's not even like a gendered thing necessarily. when you leap past someone's point and then immediately go to, but why are you blaming me? Why are you calling me a bad guy? It's like, that didn't happen. You're having an emotional response, and a lot of people are afraid of having emotions. It's okay to have an emotional response, but that does not mean that what the person was telling you is what you just said that they said. That's not actually, we can just calmly reflect and read exactly what happened. I think we will all be able to identify that no one said all men are always abusers. That is not, or you specifically are one. It was simply a point about how people that are more relaxed maybe have more success, or like whatever. I think that we've identified the issue. Mm-hmm. French toast is superior to all the breakfast breads. I like a French toast casserole. I feel like, I don't know if I like individual French toast. I do like croissants though. It's not really a bread though, is it? It's a pastry. Where's the line between bread and pastry? That's a real debate. Where's the line between bread and pastry? Where does brioche fall on this spectrum? I've been in shape. I don't know. I don't know where y'all have been. I guess I don't normally like have my shoulders out, I guess. I don't know. I feel like muscular stuff on women is like a lot less obvious than it is on men, so people don't notice it as often. One day I'm just going to moist critical all you people. Are going to be shocked. You're going to be like, oh my God, I didn't know she had abs under there. It's going to be great. If you hear, I'm cautious of men and you're offended, why did it strike a nerve? That is a good point. Oh, cinnamon rolls. Great point. Croque madame. I mean, it's a sandwich. I feel like now we're getting into, we're expanding the definition here. Men simply don't enrich my life. Wow, comment of the century. And by that, I mean they do not give me money. As such, they do not fulfill the only use I can ever have for them. I think that's why people do findom. I think we figured out the reason for why. Okay, I'm going to try to get to another question or two. I feel like we've had like weird vibes in the chat today, and I don't know why. Because I would expect this after I published a video talking about like the manosphere or something, but I didn't. So like, where is this coming from? What's happening? You've just been waiting. They've just been like, I'm going to wait 2.5 months before I make any comments. Learning to be comfortable with other people's discomfort is a valuable skill. FYI. That's like actually a really valuable skill. Actually, you know what it is? Learning not to take things personally. We talk about this all the time, folks. If you got the basics down, if you got the basic emotional regulation skills down, if you know how to communicate your emotions, if you know how to validate people, if you want to elevate your experience as a human being, if you want to be a better person in relationships and communication, this is the number one thing you can do, in my opinion. Learn how to not take things personally. So when someone makes a comment about like, I don't know, I'm really afraid of men because of an experience I had in college one time, not taking that as like, ooh, they're scared of me because I'm a man, and I'm going to explain why they shouldn't be scared because that makes me feel bad about myself. Being able to take that comment and realize that it's not actually literally about you because it's not about you, and being able to separate yourself from that and have it not affect your self-image is super important. I feel like the phrase of like, don't take things so personally is so commonly said in a negative way to try and like minimize bad behavior that we've lost the ability to see that actually, like in reality, in real life, it is actually a good skill to be able to interact with people in a way where you are, how do I want to say this? You're able to interact with people in a way where like you can stay emotionally invested in the conversation, but detached personally, such that like you don't take certain comments as being like somehow a reflection on you, and like doing that thing where you're leaping ahead because you're afraid of being blamed and you're afraid of being seen as the bad guy. And so somebody says something to you and it's like, oh, I felt really frustrated because like blah blah blah, and then like somebody will leave, oh my god, you think I'm a terrible person. It's like, no, it's just let the conversation only be about the thing that it's about. Don't leap ahead, don't make assumptions, Don't go into the territory of like, oh my gosh, you must totally hate me, think I'm terrible and awful and blah, 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 and like unfairly blaming me. Like, I definitely have had that experience with people before where like they can't have certain conversations because they're so worried about like being seen as like the bad guy, or like they're so worried about like essentially image control that they are unable to have certain conversations. And it's very destructive if you want to have a healthy connection with someone, if that's like a barrier that's always there. And like, it's okay. Like, I also want to say that too, like if you're in that spot right now, it's so common and it's okay. And like a lot of us are carrying around unhealed wounds from like childhood interactions or the way that we were raised, and that affects how we interact with people as adults. But we can also learn and change and be better. And that's awesome. We have the opportunity to be better, and that should always be a relief. Mm-hmm. Oh, it is Friday the 13th. Oh, you're right. I forgot about that entirely. I just don't even know. I thought about that. I even saw like somebody was doing I got an email this morning from some company that was doing like a Friday the 13th sale, and I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't think about it past that at all. Not really a Friday the 13th celebrator, as it turns out. One square of their favorite chocolate bar for each day they did all of their chores or tasks or sub things. I love that. That's very cute too. Get a really expensive chocolate bar. Like, go to the really nice like imported chocolate shop and like get some good stuff. I mean, also if their favorite's Hershey's, like, I mean, probably some people will judge them because, you know, but you know, if that's your favorite, go for it. But also you can make it even better. Okay, apparently everyone in the chat is just hungry right now. Everyone needs to go eat food, apparently. I was on a roll though. I'm in the streaming mood. I like non-instant ramen made by someone else. Ooh. I've had ramen at like a restaurant like twice, I think. It's been good. It's a lot of food though. I don't know how people eat like a whole ramen. Oh, cheap tattoo day. Oh yeah, because people probably do flash, right? That makes sense. I'm not like I don't think I've ever seen a flash thing that makes me think, oh, I want to go out and get that. Because I'm not really like, I know people like doing the like collage thing. I'm not really like, I like that on other people, but it's not my thing. Different vibe. All right, there's like one question I saw briefly and then it scrolled right by me and then I lost it and I'm trying to find it again. Oh gosh. Okay. I think it was someone that I didn't have a profile picture. They had like a colored initial. My standards are know how to cook, clean, do laundry, and won't dump it on me the moment I befriend them. And people fail that bar easily. Yeah. Sad but true. So apparently service dom meets service up. Mm-hmm. That can happen. It's a thing. Mother, are you done talking to the disembodied humans? That's exactly. She's like, are you done staring at the glowing box? Are you done staring at the glowing box yet, Mother? I'm tired and I need food. I have not eaten for at least 20,000 hours. Which is a lie. She's eaten at least in the last 10 hours. What percentage of practicing kinksters are in a power exchange relationship? Probably like 10%, like 10 or 15. I think it's a really common fantasy, but very few people actually do it. The vast majority of people are tops and bottoms or in like specific niche kinks. Like they're into like rope bondage or like pet play or something where maybe they don't actually do any kind of power exchange. I think a lot more people are into like bondage and like sadomasochism than like actually getting to practice it. I think as a desire, it's probably like, I don't know, it's probably like 40 or 50% of people, but actually practicing it at any given time is probably like 10 or 15. Like, including like all the people that are doing it like bedroom only on the weekends. Like they're not participating in the community, but are like still like doing kink on a regular basis. As a fun inversion of the bourgeois thing earlier, what kink resources would you distribute to all citizens if you suddenly became a socialist leader? I would probably... Well, I'd probably just send people books. I'd probably send everyone a book, and then what is the most like universally enjoyed kink device? I don't know what would be the best thing to send to everyone. I'd probably just stick with the books, to be honest. I feel like that's like the most worthwhile resource. I don't know. Do I have a way to link to Instagram? It's just at ev.lupine. I'll put the name in the chat again, but I don't know if I'm on desktop. So like, how do I link to? I guess I can link to Instagram. Will that work? It'll be like Instagram.com. I don't know if that'll work with the going to mobile. I can find out though. Oh, okay. Maybe this works. I'll try it. I love how 1 second we're doing socioeconomic analysis of sex and gender, and the next role of food. I mean, all the things we need most in life. Hey, if you have a migraine, that's a perfectly good reason to get some DoorDash. I know there'd be like I have a family member that has migraines and has since I was a very little kid, and if we had DoorDash at that point in time, they would have definitely taken advantage of it. Trying to heat up a bowl of like Campbell's soup when you have a migraine is not always the most pleasant thing. How could I introduce a way to engage in BDSM over long distance? Probably the best way is like video calls. If you have the access to do a video call, that's probably the best way to do it. If you get good at dirty talking, probably, or like sharing stories with people, I think that's probably it. And then like digitally sharing. There's actually, there is an app. It's called the Obedience app. And there's another related one called Embrace that also has gotten popular recently. And that is something that you can do to like help keep track of things long distance. So that might be a good way to do it. I'm not an expert on long distance. I don't really do BDSM long distance. So I don't generally give advice about it because it's not really my realm of expertise, but that's what I would think of. Oh my god. All right. Let us look at one more thing here, because I gotta plug a pluggable. So give me. All right, this will work. I was getting a channel strike over this. Okay, great. So this is my bio site. If you haven't seen it before, I am currently doing a kink bundle, and it is on sale until September 18th. And it has so many great things in it. Every year we have more. This year we have 36 online products, and including stuff for me and Midori and Sunny Megatron and Justine Cross and Submissive Guide. We've got everything in here. We got stuff for service submission. We got stuff for subspace. We got stuff for flirtation. There's pervertibles. There's punishments and rewards. There's I'm really excited for this one. This is the Sunny Megatron No BS Approach to Kink. And then my new course, I'm still uploading stuff to it because I keep having like more ideas. But my Ultimate BDSM 101 course, which I made specifically for this bundle, and it is fantastic, if I do say so myself. You can find it at the top link in my bio site. And if you want to check it out, go ahead. It's a great deal. It only lasts until the end of actually at the end of the week, until the middle of next week. It's September 18th. And I've had many people that were looking forward to it earlier this year. I had people that asked me when it was going to be coming back because it's such a good way to get so many resources from so many great people. And that's how you do it. And then the actual I think it's EV-Lupine is what it is. I don't know if that actually turned into a hyperlink. I don't think it will. Oh, figs. Figs are good. Figs do taste good. No more figs, though. Is it figging what Adam and Eve did? Maybe. So there you go. That's that on that. Thank you all so much. I will take this off the stream before I don't know. I did nudity, guns, I don't know, drug use, accidentally show something with fentanyl on it, maybe. Just to make this website angry at me for 5 different reasons. And there we go. Thank you so much. I'm going to be going. I will hopefully see you tomorrow on Instagram if you want to live stream with me. I'm either going to be doing some combination of makeup, get ready with me, and or cooking some gluten-free vegan desserts. So check that out. Yeah, figging is ginger. It's not actually involving figs, but that's a whole, I've made a video about that before. You can look that up elsewhere. All right. Good night, guys, or good morning. And I will see you all again soon. Bye. Hi, puppy. I know we're done. Hi.